Synthesis is a really difficult concept for students. It's confusing, and so I hope that I can shed some light for you a little bit. So I like to think of synthesis as the combining of two ideas or more ideas in order to come up with something new. So I have here some paint that I just painted in watercolor, and it's probably going to drip pretty soon. I have yellow and I have blue. So synthesis is like combining two unlike ideas to make something new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this paint and I'm going to merge the yellow and the blue like so. And what that makes, if you have been to kindergarten, is green, right? So it's the combination of two different ideas in order to make something new. Green is a totally different color from blue and yellow, but it is a product of blue and yellow. So think of your synthesis paper as a way of combining ideas from different sources to answer a synthesis question, to come up with a new idea, something that's more than what the individual authors talked about. I'm going to give you guys an example. Synthesis is like a conversation. Imagine that you are in a living room, your living room, all right, and you're sitting there with the two authors that you decided to write your essay about. So if I'm going to write a paper about Carr and Plummer, they're sitting in my living room. Okay. Here's how this is going to work. You have two authors in your living room, and you are going to first introduce them to each other. This is your summary. Okay, Thomas Plummer wrote an essay about the Ophelia syndrome and how it has an effect on his students. Yes, Nicholas Carr wrote an essay about how Google is making us stupid and the effects of technology on our deep thinking. Sounds about right. So that's your summaries. The next part of your essay is the synthesis part. That is where you take your synthesis question, whatever it is, and you basically ask the two authors and you have them answer you as you're sitting there in your living room. Now, obviously, they're not really sitting there in your living room, so you have to rely on the quotes you can pull out from the author's essays in order to get to answer in their own voice. What do you think? Are we losing the ability to think for ourselves? In my experience with students, they seem to have a problem with constantly asking the teacher, "What are you looking for? What do you want in this assignment?" when they instead should be thinking for themselves. So are we losing the ability to think? It certainly seems so, at least when I have observed my students. Carr, what do you think? Are we losing the ability to think for ourselves? I think that we are definitely trending towards not thinking very carefully or not thinking deeply, as I have observed and as I have interviewed other people who talk about the use of technology. However, we do have an increased ability to pull out information through skimming, and so we can still think and increase other capacities. Given their two responses, we can see how they definitely have a response to my question. I can use quotes from their essays to respond to that question. However, they don't directly answer it. We need to merge their two ideas, combine them, like combining the blue and the yellow to make green, to answer the question. I get to pitch in my own 2 cents in this essay. I get to incorporate Plummer's ideas, Carr's ideas, and my own ideas in the synthesis in order to answer the synthesis question. It's interesting what you have to say, Plummer and Carr. However, I feel like that while we are definitely trending away from thinking deeply, this is more of a caution than a reality. We need to be more careful, certainly, but technology enables us to think deeply, and teachers are an excellent mentor for helping us to think deeply. As long as we work hard to think for ourselves, we shouldn't be led astray. So it's like a triangle, all right? You've got your two authors on the bottom and you at the top, and you're using them as a foundation to answer the question for yourself.